Another first for the Princess of Wales.
This was the first speech that she has given since her cancer diagnosis. We've seen, this gradual return.
Paddington's back with his besties.
The Princess of Wales did say that the children were going to be incredibly jealous and sad to miss out on that.
When royals and rock stars collide.
Queen Elizabeth and the Spice Girls. And you could argue that the Queen was the original Spice Girl in terms of girl power.
And my tourists have been left heartbroken at Buckingham Palace. This is
that looks
allegedly the front of Buckingham Palace having a Christmas market. Is it real? Hello and welcome to Talking Royals. I'm Charlene White. And guys, it's just the three of us this week.
Nice and cosy.
It is, it's cosy.
Like the old times.
Quite close to you, sat over here, almost.
We should get a little sort of log fire going. It would be nice. It'd be really nice and cosy.
Toasty and gorgeous. How's your week been?
Yes, it's been quite a busy week, hasn't it, actually? I say that every week.
Yeah, every week's a busy week in Royal Land.
Yes, it's been a cold week, actually. I was standing outside the Royal Albert Hall waiting for William and Kate to turn up, and as ever, they get us there about 96 hours before the royals turn up themselves. I was frozen to bits by the time they got there.
I mean, you were outside Royal Albert Hall because it was the Royal Variety performance.
Yes.
Just for those people that don't work in our business, how do you keep yourself warm when you stood outside for hours and hours on end? And what was sort of 0, 1 degree, minus 1 degree?
The first thing I did when I got there was go up to Ben, the cameraman, and say, would you like a coffee? And he said, absolutely yes. Then anyone might know where Royal Albert Hall is, next to, not far from Kensington Palace, near Hyde Park. There's no coffee shops around there, not at sort of 6, 7 o'clock at night. So I walked for about 3 hours, I'm exaggerating, as you know, but got 2 coffees, brought them back, and it was like an iced latte by the time I got it back to the cameraman. So
top
we
tip,
tried.
You always have
hand warmers.
Hand warmers.
I usually have
hand warmers in
my pocket. Get them
pockets.
from any reputable camping shop.
You can.
And you'll find good hand
warmers. Thanks for the tip.
We're going to get to the Royal Variety performance in a little bit, but Kate has sort of been ramping up the work that she's been doing, and she gave a speech to business leaders this week, didn't she?
Yes, we've spoken before about Kate's early years interest, and this is basically Kate saying to business leaders, you should probably care a little bit less about your profits and a bit more about the people who look after children. She has said consistently that the ages between birth and 5 are the most important in your life, and they affect the next 50 years of your life. So saying to business leaders, look, when your staff go off to look after these young children, this is a really important moment. This can actually change society. So it was not a lecture to them. Clearly they were there under their own volition, but she was quite clear that we should give more attention to what she said often is the unseen or the invisible work of carers.
Well, let's take a look.
As business leaders, you'll face the daily challenge of finding a balance between profitability and having a positive impact. But the two are not and should not be incompatible. At the Centre for Early Childhood, we believe that we must do all we can to create the conditions for love to flourish. That is how we invest in our future.
What was also interesting about that speech and that day, actually, that wasn't the only thing that she did, was it?
So I think what's been interesting with the Princess of Wales, this was the first speech that she has given since her cancer diagnosis and her return to work. And we've seen, this gradual return. Kensington Palace were very open with us that they would, that she would gradually return, that she would prioritise her recovery, her health would come first, and that she would do engagements as and when she felt it was appropriate and come back at her pace, which, and in consultation with her doctors. And we have seen the Princess of Wales doing more engagements. We've seen her out and about. And this week we've seen her giving that speech. She decided to stay at that summit for the afternoon session as well. Then we saw her out on an evening engagement at the Royal Variety. But there was, on that Tuesday where she gave that speech, there was a reception. It's called the Diplomatic Corps reception. It was at Windsor Castle. And she didn't go to that. So I think what you can see is they are still looking at her schedule and deciding, what can she do? What does she want to do? And where do we where do we maybe take a step back and still prioritise that recovery, which is obviously the most important thing for her.
Now, in terms of, the availability of other members of the royal family to be able to do other bits and pieces to help lessen the load, we have seen them out and about this week. But before I get to them, we'll talk about Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, because we talked about the testifying at Congress. They had given a request for him to testify, and we did that a few weeks ago. And the deadline was this week, wasn't it?
Yes.
He hasn't testified. So
he hasn't testified. I suppose he could have replied to them, and they just haven't told us about it yet, but I'm sure they would. The deadline has now passed for him to reply to that letter we told you about a couple of weeks ago. In fact, remember, we were in Brazil at the time. I remember walking around some tropical garden, actually, the day before we did the podcast from Brazil, trying to get your head around a letter that the US Congress, the committee there, had sent to Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, Mr. it said in the address column, he didn't reply or hasn't yet replied to that message, and they want him to give more information, because they're looking into Jeffrey Epstein. Obviously, since then we've had Donald Trump say that he's going to sign into law and has signed into law the release of all those files. So there's potentially a lot of documents coming our way. Yeah. Maybe he's in them, maybe he's not in them at all, but there's a few thousand, a few million, a few billion of these messages and emails to come.
Yes, we'll see what's in those, won't we? But let's talk about his daughters now. We've got Beatrice and Eugenie, and lots of people like to make lots of connections according to what members of the royal family are wearing and why they're wearing and what message are they giving across. And this week it was potentially a message that the Queen was giving, so saying something without saying a word.
Saying something without saying words. They do a lot of that, don't they?
Yes.
That sort of symbolism and messaging through not what they say, but what they do. So the Queen this week, she was at that diplomatic corps reception, the one I mentioned earlier, and she was wearing a tiara called the Greville Emerald Kokoshnik tiara. And that is interesting because Princess Eugenie wore that tiara for her wedding. And we don't see this tiara out and about that much. Now, it could just be a coincidence, but as somebody said to us many years ago, things don't happen in palaces by accident. Things are very carefully thought through. So some have seen that as the Queen, the royal family, signalling their support for Andrew's daughters, Princesses Eugenie and Beatrice. And we know that they are completely unaffected by the changes that have been made to him. He was formally stripped of his titles and his honours. They haven't been, and we know that they are still invited to Sandringham for Christmas if they want to go. So I think there is some reading of that as that they are signalling their support for the house.
Or that she just looked in the tiara cabinet and said, I quite fancy that one tonight.
Meeny, miny, mo.
So,
there could also be that, of course. Yes.
And of course, as we have to say, every time we talk about Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, he does deny all the allegations against him. Yes. But let's move on to those other royals. And it's interesting, there are some members of the royal family that, of course, we talk about every week, and there are some that don't get as much of a mention as the others. But we're going to go into Sophie and the Duke of Edinburgh now, because they've been out and about doing the soft power thing, haven't they?
They've been on the world stage. So we talk a lot about the King, the Queen and the Waleses, but there are more working royals than just them, albeit a slimmed down monarchy these days. And we've seen them all out across the world. We've had the Duke of Edinburgh, he's visiting Nigeria and Ghana at the moment. The Duchess of Edinburgh has been in South and Central America, and Princess Anne has been in Australia and Singapore. And we get asked a lot, are they doing more? Are they stepping up more? Are they busier? I don't think they necessarily are. They have to share the workload out between all of them. But maybe we hear more about it, we report more on it because there are fewer of them, I think. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, it's possible, isn't it? Because Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh, does lots of work in lots of countries, and it often doesn't get a lot of attention. And being in South and Central America this week, doing lots of interesting things, holding some. It was like she was in an episode of I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, holding a tarantula. I think at one point. I don't think I would necessarily want to get that close myself.
I'm having I'm a flashback.
I was about to say.
You almost expect Anton Deck to to pop out of the corner and say, yes, it's time for you to leave the jungle. So, yeah, I mean, it is important. And actually, you know, going back to the fact that the Princess of Wales wasn't at that diplomatic reception earlier and everyone was making a big fuss about it. Why wasn't she there? Is there something wrong with her? Well, actually, maybe after she did that speech that we were talking about earlier, which is her first one in a couple of years, she thought, I want to go home and actually put the kids to bed and read them a story while Dad's going to go to the reception instead. And yeah, that, I think, has got to be commended, that you're able to do that, of course. And there was a huge fuss being made about the fact that she wasn't there, and why wasn't she there? And but it comes back to the same point: is there's not as many of them as there used to be.
No, and we don't talk about them as much. We don't see them as much in the press. Those other working royals. But when it comes to the international stage, do you think people get as excited in South America or in West Africa, in Nigeria and Ghana, for example? Do you think they get as excited about seeing those other royals as they would do about seeing, the main ones?
No.
Oh, right. Well,
I mean, I do.
I mean, you're offered the King and Queen, or you're offered William and Kate. You would take them over. I'm not being unkind to anyone else, but you would take them over Anne
it's like
or
someone
Sophie
choosing
or
me
Edward.
over you two.
That kind of thing. Like, who would you want to go to, your Christmas drinks? Charlene White or Shippy and Lizzie? I mean, they'd obviously always choose you. So, I mean, and the point being is that the King and Queen, William and Kate are the star attractions. But that doesn't mean to say that people don't think, oh, well, that's really nice that Princess Anne's come to Australia or to Singapore. And it is nice for them. It's just not as nice as having one of the bigger players.
Yeah. There was an interesting line actually in the Sunday Times this week. During the Princess Royal's visit to Singapore, there was a garden party held there for the King's 77th birthday that Princess Anne went to. And somebody was quoted in the Sunday Times as having said, lots of people have turned up to this because it said in the presence of Her Royal Highness on the invitation that maybe wouldn't have attended. Okay. If she hadn't been there. So I do think,
so it's still got a bit of clout.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, it's better than having no royal. What I'm saying is not, I think your question was,
is
it as big as the King over there? And the answer, absolutely not. I mean, look at the fuss we made when the King and Queen went to Australia last year. Similarly, when Harry and Meghan were there in 2018. And, we're now, on this programme.
And neither of you are in Nigeria or Ghana right now.
Quite.
The Duke of Edinburgh. So
yes.
I think that speaks.
Yeah, and had I gone to our, editors and said, please can I have a plane ticket to Ghana, they probably would have said, sorry, can't afford it. So
yeah. It's a different world, really, isn't it? Mm-hmm. But someone who wasn't abroad was the Prince of Wales, and he was opening the Rob Borrow Multi-Neurone Disease Centre, a promise that he had made to Rob before Rob passed away.
Yeah, he's really closely associated with this particular individual and his family, and he met his widow and his 3 children as well. But Rob died from motor neurone disease at age 41, but raised a huge amount of money, as he did with some of the former players that he used to play rugby alongside, to open this brand new centre in Leeds. And actually, William presented Rob with his CBE personally in Leeds about sort of 6 months or so before he died. And he was back there this week opening the centre that's, been able to be built in large part because of the money that was raised in his name.
Yeah, and it's nice for him to have kept that promise to the family, because it really does have an impact on how people see the charity.
Totally. And he does have, as Chris said, he has, I think, grown quite close to the family over the years. They've met several times. I think he wrote the foreword to Lindsay Burrows' book. And this was a promise that he made. The Kensington Palace talk a lot about how William wants to lead with empathy, and I think this is probably quite a good example of what they mean by that.
Okay, let's move on to the Royal Variety performance. It's the 6th time that the Prince and Princess of Wales have attended it, and it's with a whole host of very big UK, sometimes American stars also perform at it for an international audience. It's a big deal. It happens at the Royal Albert Hall, and it's all glitz and glamour, isn't it?
And some of us have been invited before.
Not just been, some of us have also
that's what I mean.
performed on the stage.
Oh, performed.
On the stage.
Oh.
Who was the royal when you went there?
Oh, just a little old man called the King.
Oh, okay, right. Just the top dog.
Yeah,
right.
just the top dog. What we won't do, though, because It's
Were you
not always
singing?
about me.
You were singing?
I was singing.
Right.
Yeah.
I was singing Love Is All Around with Marty Pello.
Nice.
You were the Lorraine
With the Lorraine choir.
yeah.
Encouraging everybody to check their breasts because of breast cancer. So yes, I was on stage singing. I wasn't just invited, I was performing. Lizzie. But it's not about me.
Unlike me, he was outside in the cold waiting for William to turn up.
I don't
completely
do that.
different, really, isn't it?
I
Going
don't
back to the going back to the hierarchy point again.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
I mean-
you're up there, we're down here somewhere. I did see, while I was standing outside, unable to feel my fingers, I did see William and Kate arrive from the other side of the car, so not a particularly good view. And then there was roughly about 12 seconds between them leaving the car and getting in through the doors of the Royal Albert Hall. So it was well worth my time being there.
Really well worth your time. But I would like it put on record that it wasn't me that talked about the hierarchy. It was you. So if that's how you feel, that's how you feel.
Well, if I'm performing next year at the Royal Variety Performance...
If you're performing, that's just something
Why do we care about it? It's the longest running entertainment show in the UK.
Yes.
It's been going for a very long time, and it raises funds for those in the entertainment industry. And particularly, I thought, quite interesting because of a lot of the stuff that's been in the news about the concern that there is for the mental health of many of those who work in this particular industry. So the proceeds from this performance go to that charity. That charity helps those, from the arts and entertainment world.
Yeah, and I know that lots of people made a big deal about Kate seeing Jessie J, who's had her own cancer battle over the past year. And I imagine it was quite a nice moment for them both to see each other and just, exchange a few words.
Yeah, so after the performance, the Prince and Princess of Wales then get to do a sort of meet and greet with some of the performers, and as you can see, the Princess meeting Jessie J there, and Jessie J said afterwards how just wanted to give her a hug. Kind of, they've both been through similar experiences, and quite a sweet moment there.
Jessie J announced back in the summer that she was in the very early stages of breast cancer, and she spoke about it was just being mum to mum, both going through in the public eye the experience of having to deal with a cancer diagnosis.
So the other hugely famous person that they caught up with, who has incredible links with the royal family.
Even better than yours.
Even better than mine,
Yeah.
and even better than yours. Paddington.
Paddington, there's a new musical out, Paddington the Musical. There's Tom Fletcher there. He has done the music for the musical, and there is Prince William meeting Paddington. The Princess of Wales did say that the children were going to be incredibly jealous and sad to miss out on that.
We did actually ask why the children weren't going, given that Paddington was there, but we were told because they had school the next day, they're still going to get up early, and it was too late a night for them. So,
no one wants to deal with
how is this bear moving? I know Paddington's real and all that, but how is the bear doing all this?
Is it a robot?
I don't know. This is my question.
I think it's a costume.
Right.
Yeah, but you think it's...
Well, I don't know.
These are the questions that I assume you'd have the answer
on the stage. What happens on the stage with Paddington when you go and see the musical? This is the key question.
Oh, I don't really know. One thing, when we talk about Paddington having such a long association with the Queen, with the royal family, actually, is this clip with the Queen, because it's just brilliant.
It is just brilliant.
Thank you for having me. I do hope you're having a lovely jubilee.
Tea?
Oh, yes, please. Oh, terribly sorry.
I remember when I first saw that, and I was just screaming at the TV because it was not the thing I expected. It was absolutely brilliant.
No one expected it at all, actually. I got a little wind. There was something involving Paddington. This was before the Platinum Jubilee. And I remember asking the Palace about it at the time, and they went into sort of, oh my God, you really, really can't actually say anything about this. So it was a top secret thing. And obviously there's the classic pulling the marmalade sandwich out of that famous handbag.
I love that she...
Agreed to do it.
Wanted to do that. It says a lot about her, I think, as a person. It's like when she did the James Bond skit for the Olympics.
Yes.
Actually, those moments are just brilliant, and the fact that she was up for doing those, I think, is
Although
brilliant.
there was that famous mic drop that Harry did with the Obamas, which was also really
classic. But it's those little moments where you really get such an insight into who they are as individuals and as people, as opposed to who they have to present themselves as when they're doing all those royal engagements. And to go back to the Royal Variety performance, that's it's such a small moment where you can really get to see into who they are, because you can't control what those famous people are going to do or what their reaction is going to be when they see a member of the royal family.
So interestingly, somebody who was in watching the Royal Variety was saying how Kate and William really liked all the jokes associated with the traitors. Now, we know that they were planning on that their fans, they told the creator, or William told the creator recently in investiture that they would be watching the Celebrity Traitors, but apparently they were really enjoying those jokes about the traitors this year.
Well, I thought we'd use this bit to talk about the Royal Variety show, that we'd use this for our archive section, as we usually do, when you go back into the vaults and stuff. And the first bit of footage we're going to show is when the Beatles met the Queen Mother.
Did you perform at this one, by the way?
No, not this one.
No, okay, right. Okay.
No, mine came a little bit later. Yeah. This is 1963, and I've got a very interesting fact for you. This episode of the Royal Variety Show became ITV's most watched show ever, with 21 million viewers.
Wow.
It's incredible. I mean, it kind of shows the impact and the legacy and just how far back in history.
Yes.
So
the Beatles, the Queen Mother, and 2 television channels at the time.
Yeah.
So,
The Royal Variety and the Royal Family are, have been linked for decades. 1921 was their first royal patronage. King George V became their patron, and he said at that time how every year after that, a member of the royal family would attend the show to show the royal family's support for the entertainment industry. So if that wasn't the monarch, it would be another member of the family, and we've seen that play out over the years, haven't we?
So who wants to see the Queen meeting the Spice Girls back in 1997?
Oh, this would be a classic, wouldn't it? Yeah. So Queen Elizabeth and the Spice Girls.
Oh, bless. Oh, gosh, they all look so young. So does the Queen.
Yeah.
It is, do you know what? It's a weirdly big moment, irrespective of how many times you've met members of the royal family, because there's an element of excitement no matter how big or small you are as a celeb. It is a big moment to do this.
And you could argue that the Queen was the original Spice Girl in terms of girl power, because she obviously was, taking the throne in 1952 when it was very much a man's world. So, the original Spice Girl. Yeah. Maybe she hasn't been called that too many times in her former life. So
could be Queenie Spice. We've got Lady Gaga in 2009. I can't remember what Lady Gaga was wearing. What was she wearing at that point?
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's quite a pleather or leather outfit she's got in there. And her lady in waiting that's beside her, she'll be the one who will discreetly whisper in her ear if there's anybody she doesn't quite remember who that person is.
Yeah, yes. The lady in the red dress is Lady Gaga. Oh, an actual lady? No, Lady Gaga.
And we've got William and Kate with One Direction in 2014, I believe.
Yeah, 6 times I think we said that this was their sixth time at the Royal Variety, but there they are with One Direction.
Goodness. And let's do Dame Edna when she crashed the Royal Box and sat next to then Prince Charles, now King, obviously.
They've found me a better seat.
That's
now,
brilliant.
would they have, because they look genuinely surprised. So would their team have known and they didn't know, or they're just really good at acting?
I wouldn't have thought. I mean, I don't know is the answer, but I wouldn't have thought that they would have had her crashing into the box through all the security and arriving without telling them first. So they would have had to say, "Are you up for it?" If she came in, they might not have said exactly.
Yeah,
They do have a lot of comedians performing, and they do often make jokes at the royal box, and it's always done in very good humour. And I think the royals really, they always seem to be really enjoying it and having a laugh.
And there's a thing about the comedians doing it is it will be genuinely funny, as opposed to someone awkwardly being really like nervous being around them and then trying to be funny and then it not funny and then they have to pretend to laugh. It's just
and Dame Edna, it's just classic, isn't it?
And I've saved the best till last, obviously, is when I did it.
Oh, great.
Last year.
I really want to see this.
There we go. There I am. Although, what I noticed no one has actually put on the screen is when I performed in front of them. And
maybe it's been erased from the library.
And just saw just how full of emotion King Charles was when he saw us performing on that stage, and with his face clearly saying what a huge moment in history it was for him.
What are you talking about in this moment? Do you remember? Which one?
I can't remember. I think at that point I was talking to him about dogs because they recently lost one of theirs, and I think they'd only just gone to Batsy Cats and Dogs Home to get a new one. So I think I was trying to get as a line for the show.
Yeah, okay.
Meghan's been getting us all festive. I really liked it. She did a trailer for As Ever holiday special.
Yeah, with
special.
So with Love Meghan, we've had 2 seasons of that now, and it is coming back for a holiday special.
Holiday special, yes.
Or a festive special, Christmas special, whatever you want to call it. So we saw the trailer for this week.
Yeah, let's take a look.
Let's have a look.
It's so festive. Being a hostess or a host, it's about making people feel comfortable.
You can do things that make people feel a little bit more seen.
Let the festivities commence and embrace the special touches that bring you joy.
As usual with these things, I was like, oh my gosh, she's getting me so excited about Christmas. I love the Christmas spirit. And you were a bit like,
Me?
Yeah.
No, I liked it a lot, actually. I just think I just want to be there. I know that's not her house, but I just do want to be there. I want to sort of eat some of that food and and be. I like to be, made to feel special.
Well, one person that was included.
This is what she said.
There was one person that was included in the trailer, and that was Prince Harry, who didn't feature at all in season 2. No. We saw him briefly in season 1, but he does feature fleetingly in the advert because they share a kiss, and that is what has been picked up widely.
Oh, for goodness sake. The things that people... Oh my gosh, husband and wife kiss.
Yeah.
Shocker.
Yeah.
The other thing that's been getting me in the Christmas spirit is the thought of this image. Shall we take a look? Let's look at this. Now, this is
that looks amazing.
Allegedly the front of Buckingham Palace having a Christmas market. It looks very... German. I've done the German Christmas market. It looks
they've hit on something here, haven't they? Like putting a load of those wooden huts in front of Buckingham Palace with the Christmas tree and all those lights. It looks amazing. The trouble is...
No, and if you're a tourist and you're sort of like, oh, what can I do in London over Christmas?
And tourists are going to Buckingham Palace thinking that they are going to see
Where's the Christmas market?
Now, the problem is...
to the palace this week.
Is it real? Is it
to
real,
double
Lizzie?
check, and I can confirm that is definitely not there.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we could know it's not there because where the Christmas tree is right there is where the Queen Victoria Memorial is, the QVM. So they would have had to demolish the whole thing, which I'm sure there'll be a few rules against. And what it is, there is actually a shop. Now, when we're talking about a shop, not a very big shop, which they have opened for the Christmas period. It's just around the corner from where that is on the Mews.
Yeah.
It's run by the Royal Collection Trust, which raises funds. It's a charity. I spoke to them earlier and they said, actually, it's hitting all of its target, in fact, exceeding its targets, and there's a queue out the door. And Lizzie, you were saying they've had to say this is not a market, it's just a little shop.
Have they really put a sign up?
No, so not outside the shop. So having been to the palace, I then popped to have a look at the shop, and it is just a Christmas shop, and you can
not
buy
a very big
all
one.
sorts of Christmas goods in there.
Yeah.
But on Instagram now, where the Royal Collection Trust mentioned that there was going to be this pop-up shop, there's a paragraph in the caption now saying it is a pop-up shop. There is not a market outside Buckingham Palace.
So essentially, anyone who is a little bit confused about exactly what's going on, through the power of AI, someone has developed that picture, popped it up on Instagram,
and
talked
wild
about the fact that this is the first year of the Buckingham Palace Christmas market. Now, I know it's not true. I understand that. I did look at it and go, oh my gosh, it's really lovely. And there was like a little, tiny little part of me that really wished it was
Well, yeah,
true.
I mean, I think in my head I'd seen so much of this that I'd forgotten about the shop
The tiny shop.
the shop press release that we'd received, and in my head I also think I was expecting more of a market. So,
but don't forget where it is. It's at the bottom of the Mall. You've got Constitution Hill coming down there. You'd have to divert all the taxis that come that way. You'd have to, as I said, demolish the Queen Victoria Memorial to put up a Christmas tree. I mean, it's a massive undertaking.
Well, guys, you wrap up warm. We will have a guest again next week. But I have enjoyed our time together as a threesome. It's been great.
It's been wonderful.
Thank you very much. Right, that's it. Remember, you can watch any of our previous episodes on YouTube and on ITVX. And you can also listen to them when you get, wherever you get your podcasts. But we shall see you next week, and make sure you wrap up warm.